A billionaire visits her son's grave only to find a black waitress crying with a child, and the truth leaves her stunned. The gentle November rain cast a soft sorrow over the cemetery. Victoria Blackwood never imagined that today's visit to her son Adrian's grave would change the rest of her life. In front of Adrian's marble headstone, a young black woman in a diner uniform held a child, both of them sobbing as if their world had just collapsed. Victoria froze, her gloved hands tightening around a bouquet of white lilies. At 55, the chairwoman of the Blackwood Industries empire had never seen either of them before, but the woman's posture and the delicate lines of the boy's face made her heart pound in a strange, involuntary way. "Excuse me," Victoria said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "This is a private moment. You're not supposed to be here." The woman looked up, her eyes swollen from crying. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone would be here today." Her voice trembled but carried a quiet dignity Victoria didn't expect. "Who are you? And why are you crying at my son's grave?" The boy, about 4 years old, looked up at Victoria with bright green eyes she'd seen in the mirror for decades, Adrian's eyes. "My name is Jasmine Washington," the young woman said, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "This is Tyler. I work at Bell's Diner in town. I come here every month because—" She glanced at the child because Adrian meant a lot to us. Victoria felt her world tilt. Adrian had died 3 years ago in a car crash at 28, taking with him every hope she'd placed in her only heir. After the funeral, Victoria had hired investigators to comb through every detail of his life, and they'd found no sign of a serious relationship, let alone a child. How exactly did he mean a lot? Victoria's voice dropped an octave. The rain began to fall harder, but none of them moved. Jasmine met Victoria's gaze head-on, unflinching. "Because Tyler is his son, and I promised Adrian I'd take care of him no matter what." The bouquet slipped from Victoria's hands, the white lilies scattering across the wet stone. For 3 years, she had believed the Blackwood bloodline ended with Adrian's death. And now, right in front of her, stood a grandson, black, raised by a waitress in a world Victoria had never allowed herself to imagine. But there was something else in Jasmine's eyes, not just sadness, but caution. Fear expertly concealed. Victoria had no idea this was just the first thread in a web of deception and betrayal that reached all the way into her inner circle. And Jasmine's fragility, a mask. Beneath it hid a quiet strength, powerful enough to shake Victoria's polished world to its core. 2 weeks after the graveyard encounter, Victoria's private library had transformed into a war room. On a 100-year-old mahogany desk lay stacks of investigative reports on Jasmine. Working 2 jobs, living in a 1-bedroom in a poor neighborhood, no education after high school. Victoria flipped through the file, her sharp eyes full of suspicion. Her assistant, David Chun, stood silently beside her. He'd seen Victoria dismantle entire corporations without flinching, but now she seemed genuinely shaken. And the boy's mother, Victoria, asked, eyes fixed on a grainy photo of Tyler at a playground. David opened another folder. No birth certificate, no hospital records, no documentation on who gave birth to Tyler. It's like his mother never existed. 3 years ago, she had picked apart every detail of Adrian's life after his death, but she'd never found this. "Schedule a meeting with Ms. Jasmine," Victoria said, pronouncing the name like it belonged in a foreign language. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The next day, Jasmine arrived at Blackwood Industries' towering headquarters, dressed in the only blazer she owned, one she bought at a thrift store. The 60-story building seemed to taunt her as she stepped inside. In the top-floor office, Victoria waited by the window, surveying the city, a performance of power. "Sit," Victoria said, motioning to a chair set lower than her own. "I'd prefer to stand," Jasmine replied calmly. "Suit yourself." Victoria opened the file on her desk. "I've done my research on you, Jasmine Washington. 2 jobs, no savings, living conditions, unsuitable for raising a child. Tyler is loved and well cared for," Jasmine said, her gaze steady. Victoria gave a smile that never reached her eyes. "I believe you've tried your best, but a Blackwood child deserves the best, something you'll never be able to provide. What are you suggesting, $200,000? Victoria slid the check across the table. "Tyler will live with me with the future Adrian once dreamed of. You can visit on weekends." Jasmine looked at the check like it was a venomous snake. "You're buying my son." He's not your son, Victoria replied coldly. He's my grandson Blackwood blood, and you, a waitress with no education, can't offer him what I can. Family, Jasmine let out a laugh, bitter and humorless. Tyler's been calling me mom for 3 years. I'm the one who held him through nightmares, taught him math on the kitchen table, read him bedtime stories. That's what family is. Victoria stood towering over Jasmine. You work your fingers to the bone just to make rent. Tyler deserves private school global travel opportunities you can't provide. And he deserves unconditional love too, Jasmine shot back. Something you never gave your own son. Victoria froze like she'd been slapped. You don't know anything about me. No, but I knew Adrian. And I know exactly why he never told you about Tyler. Jasmine tore the check in half and let it flutter like withered petals to the floor. Tyler is not for sale. Then I'll do this the hard way, Victoria said, voice sharp as a blade. I have lawyers, investigators, government ties. I'll prove you're unfit to raise a child. For the first time, Jasmine smiled, and that smile, calm, steady, made Victoria falter. You think I'm just some poor waitress who'll get scared. There's a lot you haven't discovered yet about me, about Adrian, about Tyler. And when you do, her eyes flashed with fire, you'll realize your investigators aren't as good as you thought. 3 days later, after that confrontation in her office, Victoria received a call that left her speechless. Her top lawyer, Richard Thornton, of the renowned firm Thornton and Associates, sounded nervous, something she hadn't heard in 20 years of working with him. Victoria, I need to inform you about the custody case, he said, tension tight in his voice. I just got a call from Ms. Washington's legal team. She's retained representation. Victoria laughed, tapping her fingers on the desk. With what, she can't afford anything better than a rookie public defender. No. Actually, Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce. Victoria nearly spilled her coffee. Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce, one of the top 3 law firms in the country, known for civil rights cases, and never having lost a major trial. Impossible. Why would they care about a waitress? I don't know. But there's more. They filed for a temporary protection order. Any attempt to forcibly take the child could now legally be considered kidnapping, based on socioeconomic discrimination. Victoria slammed her phone down hard enough to crack the case. Jasmine had made her move, and it was far more powerful than Victoria had imagined. Meanwhile, in Jasmine's modest apartment, a very different kind of meeting was underway. The small room was packed with people Victoria would never expect to be there. Dr. Michael Chun, law professor at Columbia University. Amanda Torres, investigative journalist known for exposing corporate corruption. And at the center, an elegant woman in her 50s whom Jasmine affectionately called Aunt Helen. Thank you for coming, Aunt Helen. Jasmine hugged her. I know you had to fly all the way from Chicago. Helen Washington smiled, her intelligent eyes glowing with the same fire Jasmine had shown when facing Victoria. When you said it was time, I cleared my entire schedule. We've been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Tyler played on the floor, blissfully unaware of the gravity in the room. Dr. Chun opened a thick folder of documents and photographs. Jasmine, are you absolutely sure about this? Once we start, there's no turning back. Victoria Blackwood has massive resources she won't hold back. Jasmine nodded, voice calm and steady. I've prepared for this moment for 3 years. Every night class, every law textbook, every connection I built was to protect Tyler and honor Adrian's memory. Amanda glanced up from her laptop. The evidence you've gathered is impressive. 3 years' worth of detailed documentation on Blackwood Industries' systemic violations, political bribery, massive labor abuse. Aunt Helen stepped toward the window, staring out at the modest view. Victoria believes money makes her untouchable. But she doesn't know my niece has tracked every step, every fraud, every dollar of tax evasion for the last 3 years. You were the one who taught me, Jasmine said, looking at Helen with gratitude. Knowledge is the only weapon they can't buy or steal. Suddenly Jasmine's phone rang. It was Victoria, her angry voice bursting through the speaker. What kind of game are you playing, Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce? What kind of waitress can afford lawyers like that? Jasmine calmly switched to speaker mode so everyone in the room could hear. Victoria, I warned you there are things you don't know about me. I don't care what tricks you're using. Tyler is my grandson. I have enough money to get whatever I want. Money? Jasmine smiled, glancing around the room. You still think money is the only kind of power? But what if I told you there's something stronger? What? The truth. Victoria laughed with disdain. The truth doesn't pay for top-tier attorneys. You're right, Jasmine nodded. But the truth about your illegal dealings, about how you built your empire on bribery and fraud, that truth is worth more than money to the right people. Silence filled the line. You're bluffing, Victoria said, but her voice wavered. Amanda Torres from the Metropolitan Journal would like a word with you, Jasmine said as she handed the phone to the reporter. Good afternoon, Ms. Blackwood, Amanda began with a sharp professionalism. I'm finalizing an investigative piece on corporate corruption. I'd like to offer you the chance to comment before we publish. Click. Victoria hung up. A small smile curved on Aunt Helen's lips. Smart move, Jasmine. Never attack head-on when you can strike from the side. Dr. Chun closed his legal binder. Our legal strategy is solid. We've got precedent proving that removing a child just because someone's poor is discrimination. Amanda added, 3 years' worth of files on shell companies, shady expenditures, environmental violations, enough to destroy anyone's credibility. Jasmine picked up Tyler. The little boy smiled at everyone, innocent and radiant. She doesn't get it, Jasmine said softly. This isn't just about Tyler. I'm fighting a system that thinks money can buy everything, even the right to break a family apart. Aunt Helen rested a hand on her shoulder. Your mother would be proud. She always said education is the only legacy no one can take from you. Jasmine nodded. After my parents died, Aunt Helen raised me. She taught me that where you're from doesn't matter. What matters is where you choose to go. And sometimes to protect what you love, you have to be willing to fight. Then the phone rang again. This time it was Victoria's lawyer. Ms. Washington, the man said cautiously, my client would like to propose a settlement, $500,000 and supervised visitation rights. Jasmine looked at her team. Every head shook silently. Mr. Thornton, tell Ms. Blackwood this Tyler is not for sale, at any price. And she has 48 hours to withdraw all legal threats against my family, or... She paused, her voice firm and clear. Monday morning, the Metropolitan Journal will run the full exposé on Blackwood Industries, and I believe the IRS will be very interested in some of the documents we've collected. When the call ended, Amanda smiled. Jasmine, are you ready? Once we publish, Victoria will come at you with everything she's got. Jasmine looked down at Tyler, now peacefully asleep in her arms. Amanda, I've spent 3 years getting ready for this. Victoria thinks money makes her invincible, but she's never gone up against someone who's truly prepared. Dr. Chun stood up and gathered the papers. The legal petition goes in first thing tomorrow. We've got precedent on our side. Aunt Helen kissed Jasmine on the forehead. Remember, sweetheart, they may have money, but we have the truth. That night after Tyler fell asleep, Jasmine opened an old chest in her room. Inside were her night school law degree, a certificate in business management, letters of recommendation from respected professors, and at the very bottom, a photograph of her Adrian and a blonde white woman, Jessica Blackwood. A photo Victoria had never seen. A photo that revealed not only the true identity of Tyler's mother, but why Jasmine had been preparing for this battle all along. Victoria Blackwood was about to discover underestimating someone can sometimes be the most expensive mistake you'll ever make. And sometimes the sweetest revenge doesn't come from violence. It comes from patience, careful preparation, and the perfect moment to expose truths others fought desperately to bury. On Monday morning, Victoria woke to 37 missed calls. Her assistant David stood at the door clutching a tablet, his face pale with panic. Victoria, you need to see this, he said, shakily handing it to her. On the screen, a bold headline from the Metropolitan Journal. An empire built on corruption, leaked documents revealed decades of criminal activity at Blackwood Industries. Her hands trembled. Below the headline were scanned documents, fraudulent contracts, political bribes, a money laundering network. Each page was a death sentence for her reputation. How did they get this? She whispered, swiping through. There were even photos from closed-door meetings she was certain no one had recorded. Audio clips of supposedly private conversations. Her phone rang again. Richard Thornton, her lawyer, his voice more serious than ever. Victoria, this is a disaster. The IRS has issued a search warrant. The FBI is en route to your home. And get this, the SEC has suspended all trading of Blackwood stock. She immediately called Jasmine. Her voice shook with rage and fear. It was you. You did this. How dare you destroy my life? Good morning, Victoria. Jasmine said, her voice calm, almost cheerful. I assume you've read the news. I'll ruin you. I'll throw everything I have at you. Everything you had. Jasmine cut in gently but firmly. Because from what I'm reading, your bank accounts were just frozen 15 minutes ago. Victoria rushed to her laptop, typing in login after login. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. No. This can't be happening. Victoria Jasmine continued. There's one thing your investigators never figured out. Amanda Torres wasn't working alone. She had an entire team experts in financial crimes. Every illegal document you've signed over the past 20 years was traced. On TV, reporters swarmed the Blackwood Industries headquarters. Employees filed out carrying boxes, careers shattered before lunch. Victoria's empire, her name was crumbling on national television. Why, Victoria whispered, voice cracking. Why would you do this to me? Because you never once asked who Tyler's mother was, Jasmine said quietly. If you had, you'd know her name was Jessica Blackwood. Victoria froze. No, Jessica was Robert Blackwood's daughter, the cousin you betrayed in 1995 to seize company shares. You forged documents. You kicked Robert out of the family. Jessica grew up in poverty because of your betrayal, Jasmine said. She met Adrian in college. They fell in love. But she never told him who she really was, knowing you'd tear them apart, just like you did to her father. Victoria vaguely recalled, yes, Robert had mentioned a daughter before vanishing. When Jessica died, giving birth to Tyler, Adrian came to me. I was his closest friend. Jessica wanted me to raise the boy, but Adrian also learned the truth about what you did to Jessica's family. He started digging. Adrian knew, Victoria whispered. In the last months of his life, he collected everything, documents, recordings, everything. He gave it all to me. He wanted me to wait for the right moment. Outside her window, she saw black SUVs pull up, FBI agents climbing out. The car crash, she asked weakly. It wasn't an accident, Jasmine replied calmly. Adrian uncovered a money laundering ring tied to dangerous men you hired to handle problems. They killed your own son, Victoria. The words hit like a bullet. Victoria collapsed into her chair, hands trembling. Tyler is the last legitimate heir to the Blackwood legacy, Jasmine continued. Jessica was the rightful heir to everything you stole, and now with your accounts frozen, your company seized, Tyler finally gets what he was born to inherit. Heavy footsteps approached the door. An FBI voice boomed, FBI, open up. You planned this for 3 years, Victoria whispered, lifeless. Adrian taught me revenge requires patience, Jasmine said. Every document I collected, every class I took, every connection I made, it was all for this moment. The door burst open. Federal agents swarmed in, warrant in hand. The legacy of Victoria Blackwood ended not with a boardroom coup or media scandal, but with justice built patiently, executed precisely, and delivered by the very people she had cast aside. Victoria Blackwood, you are under arrest for tax evasion, money laundering, and criminal conspiracy. As the sound of handcuffs clicked shut, Victoria heard Jasmine's voice one last time. Tyler will grow up knowing the truth. He'll know that justice, even delayed, always comes. The TV camera captured the moment Victoria was led away in cuffs. Her fall was broadcast live. An empire of lies crumbled within hours. That afternoon, Jasmine sat in a park watching Tyler on the slide. Her phone rang. It was Aunt Helen. Sweetheart, I saw the news. How do you feel? Like Adrian can finally rest in peace? Jasmine smiled. And Tyler? Tyler will grow up knowing our family fought for justice, not revenge. 2 years later, the women's prison at Millbrook was a far cry from Victoria's luxurious former office. Wearing an orange jumpsuit, she worked in the laundry room for $2.50 an hour, an irony no one missed. Blackwood, you've got a visitor. Victoria assumed it was her former lawyer or a journalist. Instead, in walked Jasmine, dressed in a sleek navy blue suit worth more than Victoria's half-year wages. I came to share some news, Jasmine said, eyes steady. Tyler just received a full scholarship to Phillip Academy, the school Adrian once attended. Victoria felt a flicker of pride. Why are you telling me this? Because you're his grandmother. And because Tyler asked me, can bad people become good? Jasmine paused. I told him that depends on whether they truly want to change. She opened a photo album. Tyler in a school uniform, smiling brightly. He's learning violin just like his dad. His teacher says he has real talent. How did you manage all this? Jasmine smiled. The assets you stole from Jessica's family. The court returned them. Tyler is now the rightful heir to the Blackwood estate. Victoria closed her eyes, whispering, "And what did you get out of all this?" The chance to give Tyler something you never gave Adrian, a family that values love over money. Jasmine stood, and peace, knowing Jessica and Adrian can finally rest. Is Tyler happy? He is loved, Jasmine said. And that's all that matters. Elsewhere, Tyler ran through the lawn of their sunlit lake house in Connecticut, a warm, cozy home. Jasmine stood on the porch, her MBA framed on the wall behind her. Mom, can I play the violin for you? Of course, sweetheart. Jasmine smiled, Adrian's proud face echoing in her heart. Aunt Helen visited often, sharing stories of family that Tyler soaked up with wide-eyed wonder. And Aunt Helen once taught Mommy Jasmine told Tyler that the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's building something so beautiful they regret not being part of it. Tyler would grow up knowing his family fought for dignity, not vengeance. That even in an unfair world, there are smart, powerful ways to rewrite your story. Victoria once tried to buy a grandchild, but she learned that you can't buy family. Family is something built with love and presence. If you've ever been underestimated because of your background, leave a comment and share how you rose above it. And don't forget to follow this channel for more stories that prove real family is built on love, not money.